Hello and welcome to Tools to Create a Better Life with myself, Glenyce Hughes. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, so once again, I'm sitting in the dark in a Fairmont. This time I'm in Vancouver, BC, British Columbia, here in Canada. And I really wanted to show you that beautiful view behind me. So of course that puts me in the dark, and it's also cloudy out there. However, there's some beautiful mountains. That's the ocean there. How does it get any more beautiful? And if you're listening to this via a podcast, this may be one that you want to find the video of, because I am going to talk about the tools to receive a private jet. Actually, it's the tools to receive more than you are willing. However, it's funner to say tools to receive a private jet. How the heck does it get any more magical than that? Yeah, so we flew here yesterday on a private jet. So I will be adding, or somebody will be adding in different video clips and photos and stuff of that experience. Truly beyond magical, my sweet friends. Now, how did this all occur? You might have listened to a radio show that I did in July. I did one, I believe it's called Are You Asking Big Enough, or Is Your Life Big Enough, or something like that, where I talk about a private jet. Now, if you've been around for a while, if you've listened to these radio shows for a while, you know I've been talking about a private jet for years. Notice the word talking. And it wasn't until that radio show, it wasn't even the radio show. It was actually after the radio show. One of you beautiful listeners messaged me. You'd heard me talk about private jet once again and let me know that you actually had a friend who did that sort of work. So she helps people with their bookings of private jets. And you asked, this listener asked if I wanted to speak to them. Now, my first response was, in my head, of course, was no, I did not. There's no way that I could afford hundreds of thousands of dollars for a private jet in this moment. And then I realized, how dishonoring that would be. Because here I was asking for a private jet, talking about a private jet, and then a possibility presents itself. And my first response is no? Interesting. So I was very grateful that I caught myself with that. And then instead of having the no, I asked a question. Truth, would saying yes to talking to this person about the private jets create the future I desire or decay the future I desire? I got that it would create the future, so I said to this beautiful listener, yes, thank you. She hooked me up, but before that, when I said yes, as I was typing my message back to the person about the talking with the other person, I remembered 2 years ago, a Facebook friend had posted about having a private jet for free to go, I can't remember, maybe it was even Vancouver, somewhere within Canada. And hubby and I were actually going away that weekend. We were going to Europe for a few weeks. Otherwise, I would have said yes back then. And I remember writing that down, like on her Facebook post, like if we would be home, I would be there. And then I forgot until I was responding to this other woman. And I remembered that and I was like, wait a minute. Who was that posted that? So found her, reached out to her and just said, hey, do you still do this? And yesterday we flew in a private jet and it was a gift from her. She had gifted us this trip and it's the business that she runs. I'm going to put the link in the show notes. I'm sorry, I just forgot the actual name of the place that she works. So she does these, so they're less expensive than if you were to book a private jet. that she works. Oh, gosh. Anyway, the link will be in the show notes. The other thing I want to note, guys, is we now have show notes. So the last few shows, if you go to my radio show, go to my webpage. There's a radio show link, and then go to the radio show. You can find the show notes. So if you prefer to read, or you want to go back and grab something that I said, or whatever it is, it's all there now. So probably the last 2 or 3 shows, and this would be probably all of September of 2021 shows, will have show notes, and then going forward. So how does it get any better than that? So the link to her place or to her business will be there. Because what if a private jet is something that you're interested in, guys, what if it's not impossible? Yeah, right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, bad, box, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Because it wasn't until I was willing for it not to be impossible that it became possible. So we could almost say that's number 1. And I actually have my notes here. You can kind of see in the window because I wanted to make sure that I covered a few kind of points. I'll probably have many different radio shows and videos about this whole process, guys. Not because I think everybody should want to ride in a private jet. I know that that's not the thing for everybody. What I do know, though, is that everybody has desires or dreams or wishes or whatever you want to call them. Even if you haven't told yourself them yet, I know that they're energetically there for you. And that's really what these tools are for. It's not about everybody getting a private jet. It's about everybody knowing that anything is possible. What I want to say is, like, guys, if I can actualize a private jet, anybody can actualize their desires. And I don't mean that as an unkindness to myself. It's really like, these are such easy to use tools. They're so magical. They're so quick. This was in August, early August, and I was flying on a private jet in September. And of course it can be much quicker, and sometimes it's longer, and there's no right or wrong. It's just to recognize that whatever it is that you would like to have, be, do, create, generate, create, actualize, whatever it might be, you got this. You got this. So, number 1, let me look so that I remember. Ask, universe, please gift me more than I'm willing to receive. Yeah. Universe, please gift me more than I'm willing to receive. And this was the hugest piece for me, guys, with this whole process, was how much I had to, I'm going to say work with myself. I'm not sure that's quite the right word, but basically work with myself to actually receive it, to say yes to it, to show up, to be present with it. Yeah. So ask every day, all day, universe, please gift me more than I'm willing to receive, because then you might be willing to receive even more, and then even more, and then even more. I know just by receiving this private jet, this whole experience, that I have increased my level of receiving by a godzillion. How does it get any better than that? So that is tool number 1. And number 2, and this one was a huge piece for this whole process for myself, do not share with anybody unless you are aware of, unless you're willing to be aware of what they will energetically be with it. That sounds cryptic. But basically, I did not share this gift with anybody for, I don't know, it was maybe 12 hours. Other than hubby, of course, because he was going to be part of it. But otherwise, it was 12 hours for the first person, and then many, and I didn't do it publicly until we were complete, until we were done on the jet. I didn't share publicly. The reason for that is that when we are creating magic, and you might have done this to others, you might be aware of this, sometimes people who are kind and have, you know, that they can put off an energy about something we've created that can stop us in our tracks. And I know prior to studying the tools of access consciousness, I told people right away. And then I always told the people who would tell me I was crazy or I was wrong. And I know now I did that to ensure I didn't be the magic that I could be. So now I do not share until I am ready to receive all the judgment. That is that's my rule with myself, to be really present with who can receive it, when they can receive it, and what am I willing to receive? Because if I'm not willing to receive the judgment, the wrongness, the jealousy, the envy, all the stuff, if I'm not willing to receive it, then I don't tell anybody, because it's not going to create the future I desire until I am. And here's the other thing, guys. You don't have to be as silly as me and put it out on everywhere once you're willing to receive it. You can be willing to receive it and still not share it. But it's a really important piece, especially with a lot of the people that I work with that have maybe been creating a lot of magic in their life, their entire life, but they have made the mistake of telling people who couldn't receive it. And it's not a mistake, but they chose to tell the people who couldn't receive it to ensure they stopped being so magical, to ensure that they fit in. So this is number 2. Please, guys, stop telling the people who can't receive it, and be your own cheerleader. Like, truly be your own cheerleader. If you never share the magic you create, you can be your number 1 cheerleader. In fact, you have to be your number 1 cheerleader. You have to be it. So that is number 2. Now, number 3 is drop your barriers. So one of the barriers that we choose is to think. Thinking is actually a barrier, along with the resisting and the not receiving and the not being present, and all of those are barriers. And thinking is one of the ones that we would probably, I shouldn't say we, because I can't speak for you, that I would say that I would use the most, very unconsciously, like without even really realizing that I'm doing it. And so if you're truly willing to, or ready to receive more than you've been willing, drop those barriers. Now, the wording that I use with it, and we use in Access, or at least that's where I learned it, was, when I'm perceiving that I'm resisting, or that I'm not receiving, or that I'm pushing away energetically, is barriers down, barriers down, barriers down. All levels, layers, lifetimes, universes, realities, barriers down. Now, you don't have to do it like that. You can do it however you want to. Some people like to imagine that they're naked. That's and I actually use that one a lot, just to really get that sense of being vulnerable and being without any barrier. And really, if you can just not think. Now, I know you might assume that you have to think, or like that's just what goes on. Your mind is always going. It doesn't have to. It's a really interesting point of view that our mind has to always go. Now, the example that I often use in classes and such, which, let's just say here, #GetYourButtToFoundation. And if you just check the link, depending on when you're listening to this one, I've got one coming up the end of September 2021, an online one. And then I also have another one we just put on the books, December 27th to the 31st, another online one. So #GetYourButtToFoundation. That's where all of these magical tools are. And that's where we can talk about things further and really get a sense of how to utilize these. But basically with this is that you don't have to be thinking. So in classes and stuff, I talk about our mind is like a 2-year-old. And our 2-year-old is often playing with knives. So our mind is thinking about, the upset from the day before, or last month, or 100 years ago, or 100 years in the future, or worrying about tomorrow, like all the insanities, when it doesn't actually have to. So what you can do is start taking what I call the knives away from your 2-year-old, and give your 2-year-old something else to do. If you've ever had to take something away from a 2-year-old, you can't just take it away. You need to replace it. So please, some of these tools, how does it get any better than this? So when you notice that you're going down the crazy train, you're going down the rabbit hole, just go to, okay, how does it get any better than this? how does it get any better than this? So you can take that thinking and exchange it for a tool, for something else. And then you can get to the point where that's your normal. That's where you operate from. You're operating from the spaciousness and the energy and the consciousness of you, rather than the insanity, the thinking, the barriers, and all of that. So thinking doesn't have to be what is going on in your mind. It might be what you've trained yourself to do, and I wonder what it would be like to retrain yourself. So that is number 3. And number 4, and this was something for myself, again, I mean, all of these were things I was using constantly while I was in preparation for the flight and then during the flight, but really to be present. To be present. In fact, we call it in Access aggressively present. And a lot of times people go, oh no, what do you mean aggressively? You shouldn't do that. Like, no, what if aggressively present means no matter what's going on around you, no matter what's occurring, you are present. So if somebody walked into this room right now with a gun, if I was willing to be aggressively present, I would know exactly what was required to change the situation. That's aggressively present. And so it's a question that I ask a lot. What energy, space, consciousess, choice, magic, miracles, mysteries, and possibilities can me and my body be to be the aggressive presence we truly be? Anything that doesn't allow that, right, wrong, good, bad, all 9, POD, POC, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Because that is such a gift. And it doesn't matter if it's like you're having trouble receiving something, or if you're frustrated with someone, or you've got a situation, you're stuck in traffic. It doesn't matter. The more aggressively present you are willing to be, the more magic you will create. The more you'll be aware of what's required. Yeah, right, wrong, good, bad, all 9, POD, POC, shorts, boys, and beyonds. And the thing with the word aggressive, like a lot of times people go into that like, well, that's a bad word. Like aggressive is negative, and I don't know, kindness is positive or something like that. And you really want to pay attention to that, because that's judgment. To decide that a word is negative takes judgment. So what if you could actually be willing to receive, notice the R word again, receive from all words. Like if you didn't see one as good or bad, then you would actually be aware of the word or words that were going to create the most for you. Right, wrong, good, bad, all 9, POD, POC, shorts, boys, and beyonds. So being present on the private jet for me was really this space of kind of a mix for me. One, because I had a lot of things I wanted to do. It was a fairly short flight. Not that I've ever complained before about a flight being short, but you got to understand this was a beautiful plane. I really wanted to enjoy it, and I really would have loved to do like this video on the plane, and just know there was just not that sort of time in terms of all the things that I wanted to do. I think it was about an hour in the air. So I did my weekly video, so we'll put a link somewhere that you can check that out if you like. And you should just get on my email list if you're not there already to receive that every Sunday. They get sent out. I do a little short weekly video, and then of course the podcast all the time. Well, not all the time, every week. Anyway, so when I got on there, it was, and actually even going there, there's just this like, okay, I want to do this, and I want to do this, and I want to get this photo, and I'll make sure I get this. And it was just like, okay, relax. None of it matters. None of it matters. What was, really my target with it was the enjoyment of it, the being present with it. Yeah. And that energy of like, I can't forget, and I want to do, and I make sure, like that's such an angst energy for me. Like it's not a presence. There's not a level of presence in that. There's the more of a future, like this and this and this, and that's not the energy I desire to be on the airplane. And so I had to keep reminding myself, or I chose to keep reminding myself of that, because I'd be like, and also that energy, like the excitement energy too, has a similar energy. So there, like it was quite a dance for myself to be present with it. And then what was such a huge gift is when we got to the hangar, I think it's called, and we went into this huge, big lounge, beautiful space. The pilot came in right away and introduced himself and said, you know what, guys, I'll be right with you. We'll go through the safety stuff. Just give us a few more minutes. And so we just had a seat. And I'm so grateful because it took about 10 minutes, maybe a little bit more, before he came out. And I'm so grateful because it really allowed all of that excitement and all of that energy and all just to like, just to be. And I actually got to sit and commune with the airplane. So as I was sitting there and being present with it, and just like, it was such a gift to have those few minutes to kind of, I'm not sure if he would have walked in and said, okay guys, follow me. I'm not sure that I would have had the same level of presence that I was able to get to before we went out there. And then as we went out there, I just said, you know, do you mind doing a few pictures, which he already knew I was going to ask anyway. So he took some pictures of hubby and I, and then we got onto the plane, and it was just like, it was like nothing I've ever seen before, nothing I've ever experienced. Like, I'm not even sure that I've ever really seen a private plane like in movies and stuff. I'm not that I recall anyway. So to actually see this and just to be there and go, whoa, whoa. And then as I'm sitting there going, like, I wonder what it would be like for this, in a sense, not to be a big deal, like normal. And that's, I know not the word maybe, but really that's kind of the energy of it. Like, what would it be like for this just to be like, oh yeah, well, I'm just going to hop off to Vancouver, or I'm going to hop off to Mexico, or like, really, what would that be like? And really getting the energy of that, because it's possible. If I rode on one for an hour, it's possible to whatever, ride on one for 20 hours, ride on one, have my own, like whatever it is, like but just that spaciousness of it, and not the conclusion of I have to, or I need to, or I'm right if I do and I'm wrong if I don't. It's none of that, but just and I remember, and I think I've shared this on a show before, is not that long ago, I saw a woman post in some group somewhere on Facebook, and she said, I walked into a restaurant wearing a crown, and I sat at a table by myself wearing a crown until it was normal to feel like to be wearing a crown in a restaurant. And I thought to myself, that was the energy that I was choosing yesterday. It's like, just for this to be normal. Of course this is the way it is. Of course we're flying private. Like, of course. Like, years ago, probably, at this point, probably 10 years ago, maybe 8 or 10 years ago, I don't know, a while ago, flying first class was not in my world, like not even close in my world. So then it got to where that was normal. That is what I choose now. Now, I'm still, of course, asked questions and all that. And let's be honest, I haven't really flown for a long time with COVID and all the things. But prior to that, we were flying all the time, and that was what we chose. And it wasn't that long ago that wouldn't have been a choice. So it's that baby step almost. And what else is possible with that? So I have given you 4 tools. I want to give you one more, because this is another one that I utilized a lot, is how much space can I be right now to receive this? Yeah. How much space can I be right now to receive this? Because what we do when we're not receiving is we contract. And we get on, and so in my case, we get on a private plane with like a whole different world, and there can be an automatic contraction with that without even recognizing it. So how much space can I be to receive this? Now, here's the thing about receiving. I'm talking about receiving a private jet, which for me is like just such a dream come true. You can actually utilize these tools in receiving criticism, in receiving unkindness, in receiving all the things. Like, if we don't judge something as good to receive and something as bad to receive, we're infinite beings with infinite receiving. What else might be possible if you were willing to receive it all? Now, I don't mean you should go like searching for the stuff that doesn't feel yummy for you to receive. That's not what I mean, but to recognize that receiving is receiving it all with no point of view. Yeah, right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, POD, POC, shorts, boys and beyond. So I get that this is just part one, and that there will be part two, and who knows how many parts to this there will be, because there's so much in this. There's so much goodness and so much. And what I posted on Facebook today was, just know that your dreams are dreaming of you too. So we often separate from what we dream of, and we make it really external, really outside of us. Like it could never happen for us. Like I'd love to have that, I don't know, ranch with horses in the countryside. But then we put it out there rather than those dreams. If you're dreaming it, it's dreaming of you too. So allow you to receive from it and be willing to give to it. Yeah. Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, POD, POC, shorts, boys and beyonds. Be sure to check out all of my upcoming events, guys. There's so much awesomeness coming. And if you enjoyed this, please share it with people who might also enjoy it. And if you're listening on your podcast app, please leave a 5-star review. I would be so incredibly grateful. This gets it out into so many other people's ears. So have a fabulous week, guys, and I look forward to chatting again next week.